One sec.
Okay. In order, please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. All right, Kate, can we do a roll call, please?
Okay. John Guglielmo.
Here.
Tim Clark.
Here.
Taylor Boucher. Currently not here. Audra All. Here. Chris Boucher.
Here.
Sarah Bashinsky. Here. Ken Chester.
Here. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, that's it. All right. Do we have? All right, we're gonna do the acceptance of the agenda. Need a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Sarah, second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, we're gonna do a recognition of success. Rich, could you please?
Yes. We would like to congratulate Colton Bissett on his graduation in August. Unfortunately, Colton and his family couldn't be here tonight, but we definitely want to recognize his efforts. And it's always a wonderful August board meeting when we can have such a wonderful recognition of a graduate. That path is a little different, and it takes a lot of bravery and courage to travel down that path, and Colton did it. And we thank Colton, his family, and especially the teachers and all of our staff that allowed him those opportunities to make sure that he is now a Fort Edward High School graduate. So congratulations, Colton, and congratulations to his family.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to move into the district safety plan hearing. Center Safety Committee.
So you'll do a motion to open that hearing, see if we have any comments.
All right.
So we'll start with a motion to open it, if that's
Need a
okay.
motion to open the safety plan hearing. Audra?
Second.
Tim is second. All in favor? Aye.
That has been posted for the required 30 days. It's actually been a little bit more because we opened it at the last meeting. There have been no comments from the outside regarding that, and it doesn't look like anybody's here now who would like to comment on it either. So if you guys don't have anything, then you can close it and then move to it. It'll be on as an action item later.
Okay. Need a motion to close the district safety plan hearing.
Motion.
Tim? Sarah? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is closed, and we're going to move into the code of conduct hearing. Need a motion to open the code of conduct hearing. Audra and Tim, all in favor? Aye. Open the hearing. Same thing?
Yep, I will just make a comment. I printed you new ones. It was pointed out that that change that happened in February regarding the transportation, we had removed that verbiage regarding extenuating circumstances. That didn't get translated over in the one that was in your board packets, which is why I printed you a new one. The only thing that got changed after that was just to put that verbiage back in that didn't say extenuating circumstances, and I apologize, I didn't print myself one to be able to tell you verbatim what it says. But
I had a
that
question
is,
on the elementary code of conduct also. There was one page which said, the homework page said, not sure if we're going to leave this in or not, highlighted in the yellow like it was a ongoing comment thread.
So anything that was in yellow is something that the committee either wanted to change or wanted to discuss. So anything in the elementary code of conduct or the junior senior high code of conduct that's highlighted in yellow was a change of either striking it, adding something, or questioning.
Discuss at this meeting or discuss amongst yourselves?
Discuss at this meeting. We were kind of in favor of not putting the homework in there. But again, the board approves it, so we wanted to make sure that you were having some input.
Should we be discussing that at this point in the meeting or later on action?
you can discuss it now in the open hearing because it is up for like comments, including your own.
Sure, did anybody else notice that? It's page 21 of the elementary code of conduct. There's 2 pages about homework for elementary students.
Do we have?
See
That
Board
is
docs.
not
It's in Board
a
docs.
thing that's
Yeah,
printed.
no, we don't have that yet.
It's not in Word doc.
It's under the action item further down, like,
Thank you.
K, item K, there we go.
What page did you say, Tim?
21.
I'll give you guys this and you just want to look at it. Well, I'm not typing minutes, so the note says they're looking at maybe eliminating
The
that.
big paragraph that's highlighted?
It just says, on page 21, it just.
There it is.
Homework, we questioned this section, homework is not required, our families, not all of our families are equipped to help with homework.
Gotcha.
But we didn't feel, our code of conduct committee didn't feel that we should unilaterally decide to cross that out. So we did want to bring that up to the board.
So can I ask some clarifying questions?
Please.
Sorry. So the purpose of so you want to eliminate all of this, purpose of homework, items 1 through 4, time expectation, homework, parent role?
We were looking mostly at the time expectations, homework, the parent's role. Because not every family is equipped to have the parent take such an active role in homework.
Plus, not all kids at certain levels, sometimes it takes longer for certain kids to be able to.
Right.
At the same time.
Right, so
Or their
we found both the parent's role and the timing of it a little dictatorial kind of.
So what did you want to stay?
The purpose of homework, and homework may take any of the following forms, I think is fine, because that kind of explains, why does my child have homework tonight, or what could these tasks be? But I think the time expectations could be a little crushing for a child who maybe it says it should take them 20 minutes and it's taking them a lot longer. And we also, again, thought the parents' role, in a perfect world, parents are home and able and willing to spend the time on homework with their child, but we know that's not the case in every family.
How many kids, do you still have homework club here, or no?
No, we have the after-school enrichment, and part of the enrichment, which goes from 3 to 4, from 2:32 until 3 o'clock on enrichment days, the students who are in enrichment have a homework club before enrichment starts. So they have about 30 minutes
So how many of the kids in the households that you're targeting, saying that they might not be able to do the homework, how many of those kids are attending homework club?
I would say there's a good chunk of students who are attending that. But again, that's only for 3 8-week sessions, twice a week. So it's not an everyday occurrence.
Okay.
And students grades K through 12 are allowed to stay at least until 3 o'clock with teachers if they wanted to stay after and complete their homework in the classroom.
Is that universal?
Yes.
Do you know that all teachers are letting everybody do that in the high school side?
They're
Because I'm saying historically.
Right. So
Some teachers have been willing to do that, some haven't, like overtime everywhere.
Sure. I would
Even though
say
it's
the expectation is, because teachers can't leave until 3, and the expectation is that they are making themselves available from 2:32 until 3 o'clock.
How about in the elementary, what kind of, the teachers that do give homework, what kind of feedback are you getting back on how many are doing the homework?
I would say most students are at least making an attempt to do the homework. Maybe it's not 100%, maybe it's not, to a great degree of success, but most are at least attempting.
Do you think a lot of it is the fact that they don't have help at home?
I think it's they don't have help or maybe don't have like the structure that some other students have. They don't have I come home, my parents are there, they say, please sit down at the kitchen table, let's get your homework done. Because I just think universally families are different now, and work schedules are different. So I think you know, kind of the vision that we have and maybe that we grew up in is a little bit different than how a lot of people are living now.
So what do you feel about, one more, this is my last one. What do you feel personally about homework and the effectiveness of homework? Is it necessary to do kids that do have as doing the homework, whether it's in a supervised setting here or a supervised setting at home, does that increase any likelihood that they'll succeed or achieve higher?
Sure, that's a great question. I think homework, if it's thoughtful, intentional homework, then I think it's great for practicing the skills you learned in class. I think it's a great way to affirm for the students, okay, I got that. I got those questions right. I understand this. I can move on. And I think it's great for teachers to check it and say, okay, well, you tried, but you're not quite there yet. And then that should be the flag that, all right, I'm going to pull you in for 10 minutes after school to kind of re-drill on that particular skill. So I think if homework is intentional, not busy work, but very, thought out and then checked and used as a formative assessment, then I think it's very, very useful. If it's just do this worksheet and it's never revisited, then I don't think it's helpful.
Okay, thank you.
I feel that our elementary teachers are mostly on board with the students do the work in school, they put in a good effort in class, they don't have homework. If they're willfully opposed to doing their work, sometimes they'll get that work sent home. Just based on experience. For the most part, they're not getting homework.
This is what the new one is.
Thank you.
Is it the same?
That's a question for her. I'm not
I'm usually home when my kids get home from school, I don't get out until 5, so I'm not 100% sure of the
Still
homework.
need this though, so I can continue to take notes. I'll wait.
Yeah, that's fine, I don't have to. Can I ask a question about the high school code of conduct?
Sure.
Are we done with this elementary one?
Oh, sorry. I mean,
Do we need to mark it up at this meeting? If we're gonna approve
It is up for approval, so if you have distinct changes that you want changed in there, I would suggest that so that we could potentially approve it, but that's up to you guys.
And I can open it in my Google Doc and make any changes here that.
Yeah, I propose we just strike out the time expectation paragraph
Okay,
and the parents' role bullets.
perfect.
That sound okay? Yep.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you for that feedback.
High school?
high school. So you're wanting to make changes to the matrix that we had before. What are the big differences that we're changing to the behavior rubric?
Sure, so let me just see, is that, okay,
Page
that's L? Is that right?
I have no.
Item L.
Sorry, I just have the matrices themselves.
I just have the matrices up. I don't have pages.
Is that at the end? Let me get to the.
I'm used to 3 screens at work. Working on 1 screen is very complicated. I don't know how y'all do it.
They're spoiled now.
Yeah.
I have fruit.
I have 2 of them.
I don't know how you do this.
So you don't have a page number for the matrix?
Hang on, she's looking for
Are
me.
the matrices there?
Are they in the
I'm
docs?
not seeing them.
They are if you're in board docs because it's part of the scanned document. Erin, if you're looking at specifically your code of conduct in your Google Drive, it won't be there because your matrix is a separate attachment. So
Okay.
here it is
There
under
we go, I found
page
it.
24 in the scanned in the board docs.
Right.
Yep, I found it, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Were you looking at one specifically?
I was just saying if there's any major changes that
So
we're making.
some of the things we did were we added a Saturday school, kind of as an attempt to steal kids' time if they, like for example, number 7, classroom library misconduct. After the third offense, we've asked them to do, we're having one detention, then 2 detentions, and if by that time that's not changing the behavior, well then we're gonna come to school on Saturday, and we're gonna deal with it that way, hoping that that's a deterrent. The committee, which was made up of several teachers, for example, number 15 under littering, we added 3 detentions with custodial work. So kind of really trying to make the consequences match what they're doing as much as possible. I'm trying to think, there were some other, we added for vaping,
Number 22.
Number 22, we added a referral to Teen Intervene, which is through the Council for Prevention. We had a couple of students participate in that this year. It's a 3-session vaping or smoking cessation program that the students go through if they're caught vaping. So we added that as they're caught vaping here at school, we're automatically referring them to Teen Intervene to try to stop the behavior. So just some kind of cleanup of the matrix, and then trying to make them fit a little bit more.
So right underneath that 23,
The superintendent's hearing.
where do you make the distinction whether it should be a superintendent's hearing in law enforcement?
Superintendent's hearing.
So the possible law enforcement, obviously if it's a firearm, we're getting law enforcement involved. If it's a knife that's, I think it's longer than 3.5 inches, we have to get law enforcement involved. If it's a pocket knife, then we don't have to get law enforcement involved. So that's why it says possible law enforcement, because it kind of depends on the weapon. And obviously we're contacting parents regardless of what that weapon is. And again, possible superintendent's hearing. If somebody has a pocket knife on them, maybe not a superintendent's hearing. Obviously, if somebody's bringing a weapon with an intent, that's going to be a superintendent's hearing.
What do you do after the third offense? You just repeat the third offense?
That would definitely be a superintendent's hearing.
Every one. What do you do after the third offense with people?
Oh, so for example, if the third offense is a 5-day suspension and then they do it again, we're going to go to a superintendent's hearing, because basically I've exhausted what I'm allowed to do, which is suspend for up to 5 days. So in that case, I would say to the superintendent, listen, they've had the 2 to 5 day suspension, they've had the 4 to 5 day suspension, they just had a 5-day suspension. This is not working. We need to do something.
Okay. It just doesn't say it on here, so I just wanted to ask.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. And we're hoping that, kids are not doing this same offense more than 3 times. And again, most of our students don't get referrals. It is percentage-wise, it's a small percentage of our students who are getting the majority of the referrals.
What is the, and this is obviously with other districts a big deal, phones. Where's our stance on that right now?
So what we do right now is every teacher has like a shoe holder.
Yep.
And I've met with, and I will do it again this year, I meet with every single class, grades 6 through 12. I explain to them that the expectation is that their phone goes into that shoe holder during class. If they refuse to put it in there, the phone needs to be disappeared. Basically, it needs to not be seen during class. If it comes out during class, the teacher is expected to take the phone, get it to me. I call the parent. I have the parent come pick it up at 2:32. If the student refuses to give the phone up to the teacher, I don't want that to take away from everybody's education. I don't want that to be a big battle. The teacher says, Mr. Guglielmo, give me your phone. It's not supposed to be out, and you say no. The teacher radios me or calls me. I come up, I take the phone. They still lose it till 2:32, plus they get a detention for being insubordinate to the teacher. So it makes much more sense to just turn it over to the teacher.
Yeah, or put it in the
holder, and yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I will say that when we first rolled that out, I cleared my week because I was pretty prepared to be everywhere at every moment, like running from room to room. And I was pleasantly surprised by the few teachers who had to call me because the kids were like, oh no, she's taken those phones. And they saw it happen. And then, you know, it's still, I mean, I still had to take some phones away last week in June, which was silly that we went the whole year and I was like, seriously, I'm taking it again. But it's a lot less than it was before.
Good.
So.
Well, let's say you got to a point you weren't happy with, like, and you had to move to like kind of towards, I think of trying to figure out how to keep the clothes. Would you be more inclined to still allow kids to bring this phones to school? Say you had to go to that policy, or the state started moving in that policy.
Okay.
Choice. Because I see it all now that you got these people, Cambridge and the other ones I saw in Canada, a lot of them are doing like no school phones in school. Mm-hmm. Say someone, for whatever, or you just decided, maybe. Would you be more inclined to say, okay, because kids, like there's, here kind of what concerns me with that is that a lot of kids have cell phones. But not a lot of kids have rides. Or
True.
What time, you know what I mean? They might have to call. Or
right.
Have to do things. So would it be not just as effective to say you can have them in their locker? I mean, looking forward, I just kind of have thought about that, and it seems like, boy, it'd be tough for a lot of people to, in this day and age, to go to different things, or kids involved that have to come into town to do things, and their parents might be running around.
Sure.
How do you pick them up?
Sure. I would say, I mean, I'm definitely not opposed to kids having their phones in the building. Lockers, I would love it if every kid would just keep their phone in their locker. If we're coming in the morning, put it in the locker, grab it at lunch, because we allow them to have it at lunch, and then put it back, and then take it out at the end of the day. If every student would do that, we would have no issues. We do though, I mean, we do have phones here available for students.
You do?
We do. There are phones, there's actually a student phone right in the main office.
Okay.
Plus, you know, all the clerical staff and all the administrators
Well,
all
that's
have
good.
phones.
I mean, the reason I ask is because there's no payphones or anything. And I
Right.
remember being a kid, and after being at basketball practice, I had to call my parents.
Yeah,
They
put
lived
the
on the
quarter
other side
in
of the
and-
canal. They couldn't, they were gonna sit there and wait for me, so I had to call them to get a ride.
Yeah, but we have a student phone specifically in the high
Okay.
school office just for student use. And then, again, any clerical and any admin have phones.
Let's say, what about like in the evening time though?
That's a good question. In the evening time, we don't
We
have
don't
a
have
phone.
anything for, let's say a kid didn't have a cell phone. I know there's nothing here, but is there any type of, there's no access like a coach's phone or coach's room?
There are,
Where they
so.
can make a call?
Coaches all have keys that will get them into like the phys ed rooms,
Okay.
and yeah, so,
And they're
and
equipped with phones?
yes, there are phones there and you can dial out.
There are phones right in the gym.
Oh, there are phones in the
There are
gym.
phones in the gymnasium
that have-
Hello?
Dial out.
that can dial out. They can't dial long distance, but they can dial out.
Wow, isn't that handy?
I forgot about that, Sandy, thank you.
No, but that's good for a lot of people, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, and if there's an emergency, we can dial 911 right from
Well,
there.
good, thank you.
My last question. Just describe the Saturday detention. Is it a morning? Is it an afternoon? Is it all day?
So this is a new thing that we're starting, and we're thinking 8 to 10. Again, we don't want to breakfast club them and make them stay there all day long, but 8 to 10. Again, stealing their Saturday morning, making them have to get up early on a day that they typically sleep in, and again, hopefully we don't have to use it very often, but I'm hoping that if a student has to roll out of bed and be here from 8 to 10 on a Saturday morning when their friends are doing fun stuff or sleeping in, that might be the deterrent that they say, wow, I did that, it was not fun, and I don't want to do that again. So that's,
But, sorry, I guess.
and I had a few teachers who actually brought it up. They said, can we do that? And I said, I don't see why not, so.
It's a great idea. Quick question, yes or no? You have the staff lined up to do that?
Yes,
Good.
yes. Yep, I have some people who are saying, anytime you need Saturday detention, let me know. So.
That's great. Sorry, I didn't know those things, but appreciate you bringing it up and informing me of that.
Okay.
I think we're ready.
Is there any other, anything else on that particular thing?
Just gotta close the meeting.
Need a motion to close that hearing? And I'll jump in last. Sarah and Audra. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Community comments. Casey, do we have any community comments at all?
Do not have any. It's crickets.
All right. And next on the agenda would be the Summer Academy by
That's me. Do you mind if I turn the light off? Will it be easier to see it there? So, I was opening ceremony, Mr. All, my morning assistant. So our session ran for 4 weeks, starting July 8th through August 1st from 8 to 11. We had pre-K through 5, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and 6 through 8 Mondays as well. We didn't have any 7th graders, so it was just 6th and 8th grade. And how were they selected? We did do it in phases, so targeted students were prioritized for admission. So first we did achievement data that was teacher recommendation, counselors, attendance concerns, students at risk for retention. I reached out to all the parents who didn't respond, whether it was yes or no, or maybe even encouraged them to just think again and come. Then it opens up to parent requests and at times student requests. We do have students who will say, is there any room left? Is there every year any room left? But do prioritize the neediest to get those slots first. The theme this summer was the Olympics in Paris, France. Our curriculum's integrated ELA, math, science, social studies, as well as social emotional learning daily. Our week 1 was the history of the Olympics and the Olympic rings. The kids loved this. It was just as simple with our littles as understanding they represented the continents, and the color with our pre-K to our older kids doing some really cool things, learning about the different, at each continent, people that were coming. They did athletes, biographies of famous Olympians in the history and symbolism of the Olympic torch. Week 3, my fave, Paris, France, that was fun. Culture and traditions of the host city. And week 4, they learned all about the different Olympic sports and the history and purpose of the opening ceremonies. And here I know some of the kids didn't want to get in the photos, but I tried. But Miss Vaughn, here's our pre-K class. Kindergarten with Miss Fisher. 1st grade, Miss Riccagelli. 2nd grade, Mrs. Tyler. This class had perfect attendance. No kid missed a day.
Wow.
So they got a pretty special award at the end. Miss Sticks, she had a larger group, but they did amazing. They were great. 4th grade, Miss Stanton. 5th grade, Miss Godfrey. 6th grade, Mr. Smocko. 8th grade was not gonna let me take their photos. We had 5 students, but I did get 2 to play the game with me and do that. So our attendance, we had 66 students this year. Our attendance was by the week overall 85%. Looking back, it is a little lower than in the past. I think I call everybody that's absent that day to find out why or try to get them in. Sometimes they oversleep. Very rarely was somebody sick. The main reasons for the attendance were the heat was a big one. We had a power outage where some kids, it was 2 days without power. And those seem like not a lot, but with that amount of kids, it affects the percentage a lot. And of course, we did have some that were just chronic attendance that we see during the school year as well. But overall, we had a great turnout. We also, people go on vacations, we still encourage them to come, even if they miss a week.
We were on vacation.
Yeah, that's fine. No, we have many kids that do that. Sometimes it's just a couple days, sometimes they're gone a week, and they come for the 3 weeks, that's fine. And this was our perfect attendance group. They were proud as can be. And we had a lot of fun themes, so they learned a lot about patriotism, the American flag, and representing our country, you know, showing our support for the athletes. They really enjoyed it. It was very fun. We had some guests. We had a gymnast from Ariel's come, Selena Dickinson. Maddie Godfrey read a book by a former gymnast, and then she did her little routine and showed the kids some tricks. That was fun. This was impressive. Thanks to Miss Russo, she had this connection for us through her son Eli. But Neil Howard, he is a recent graduate of Teutonic Hills, and he's a pretty impressive young man. He's a decathlon, has won 4 national championships, holds 7 titles, named Gatorade Player of the Year for track and field this year, holds the New York State high school record in pole vault. He's headed to the University of Michigan in the fall, and this presentation he came and did with his father was amazing. I'm hoping in the spring we can get him to come back. He set up relays and had those kids and mixed them so you'd have an 8th grader and a pre-K on the same team. It was adorable. But he taught them all about the different events. And he brought a display of things he's won as awards. They were very impressed that Nike pays for all his shoes, because he goes through a lot of shoes. But hopefully we can have him back in the spring. I'm hoping. I told him I'd be getting a hold of him, but he's quite an extraordinary young man. He did go to the Olympic trials this year, but I have a feeling we'll see him in LA in 4 years for sure.
That's the plan.
And there's some of the pictures of it, but the relay, he brought what they're like so that the kids knew what they carry, and they were lining up to meet him and see all his things. It was about 95 out, but everybody wanted to hear what he had to say. He was a great speaker, and there's our Miss H, of course, decked out, ready to participate. So here they all are with Neil and the teachers, all of us together. And I don't think he's fine, but there's Neil back there. You probably should have put him front and center. But the kids absolutely loved it. They didn't want to go inside. Our Paris Week, super fun. We found out Miss Mackenzie, our secretary in the main office, speaks fluent French. So that was fun, and she loved participating. They read a lot of good books. We studied the Eiffel Tower. Our 6th graders and 8th graders built some models that were amazing. This one actually is in the elementary office, Mrs. Russo, that lights up. The Lego one, and we had 2 lamps. You can see them. Sue keeps them lit up at night. I notice when I ride by the Eiffel Tower, because you see them in the window. They did an amazing job. And there's just some other fun photos, but the last day we went down to the pool, our junior high kids decided instead of bowling, after such a hot summer, they wanted to come to the pool, so they joined us, but we kept them in the deep end. That was the rule. I said, you can come, but you gotta stay in the deep end. So, big thank you to Mr. Donahue, Ms. Flood down at the library. We did her summer program again. She came not feeling well at all. All the kids got a really cool pair of binoculars. And they read a ton of minutes. So we had a really great time. And I like the rec too. A lot of kids, we let them leave 10 minutes early on Wednesday if they go on the field trips. But I like it because every year you have those newer families that are like, what's this all about? And every week the group gets bigger and bigger. So the bus was getting pretty packed there on that last Wednesday. It's amazing program, both of them run.
Certainly is.
So there's that. And it's for maintaining, our goal was to maintain. They do a simple pre and post assessment in ELA and math. All but 2 kids maintained or showed growth, but those 2 kids came maybe 2 or 3 times. So it was kind of hard to assess. But it's really a great program. I think, I like the phase 2 of it where we're not just targeting our neediest kids. I think even, having a mixed group, they learn from those other kids too. The other kids are learning to maybe be a little more patient when somebody else might need a little help. So it really works well in the smaller groups. I think time-wise, I have not sent the survey out yet, but I'll get you that when I get all that back, because I know the parent input decides a lot on how we determine what days and the hours. But I think, for me, I thought it went well. I mean, if we added Monday again, I don't think it would hurt. But a lot of times that's just hard to do when they're always on the go on the weekends. But it was a hot one. It really was. We went through about 1,000 freezy pounds. So any questions about the program or?
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a
All right.
wonderful program.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really fun. And that was my last hurrah, so I won't be doing that anymore. I know. But it was really fun.
Can't thank you enough for stepping
All
up.
right, thank you.
Can't thank you enough for taking that time out of your summer. You did a fabulous job.
All right, under reports, anything from budget, finance, and audit?
We didn't meet tonight, but I'll have some during our business shared folder.
Okay, and personnel grievance and negotiations,
We'll be discussing that in executive session when this is up.
policy review, project, that's kind of just, as well.
A lot of red tape going through right now.
Yep.
That Chris is dealing with.
Athletic committee, and superintendent.
Okay. Last month, Tim and I attended the NISBA conference. I want to thank Tim again for attending. It was a great, I attended the first day and Tim attended both days. The opening day started with a panel discussion with state education department representatives. My big takeaways were that they are going to amend the Regents exam for a graduation requirement. It will be a pathway. The goal is to have students show what they know in a comprehensive way outside of the Regents exam. The Regents exam pathway will still exist, and it is not an effort to lower standards. So that was the big message that I took away from the revamp of the Regents exams. Not sure when the timeline's going to be, but it does look like it's created some steam, and I think it's, my opinion, Rich Demali, that is probably going to happen, which I think the positive for us is that it will uncuff teachers from saying, I can't do this awesome thing with my curriculum, like a project-based learning project, sorry to be repetitive, but because I have to get curriculum A to Z to make sure they're ready for the Regents exam. So I think you're gonna see a lot of teachers really feeling like they can spread their wings, so I think it's a great opportunity. I attended declining enrollment and teacher shortage, and here are my quick takeaways from them. The big thing about declining enrollment is, I think what I noticed is people say, everybody's leaving the state. Everybody's leaving the state. That's not really what they told us there. And it kind of was like, it gave me a little aha moment. You think about it, our baby boomers had a bunch of kids. Their kids had less kids, and now their grandkids, who we are starting to bring to our school, the grandkids really don't have a lot of kids. I mean, you look at, some people are only having 1 to 2 kids. Obviously that's just a fact. We can't go out there and tell people have more kids, but it's just an interesting fact that I was like, wow, it's true. Back in the day, everybody had a lot of kids. I go to church and families would fill pews. Now you go and families, the pews are half, and then now their kids, they're bringing in 1 or 2. So it was an interesting highlighting moment for me. What do we do about the declining enrollment to try to get more people in? The 3 big factors are, do you have affordable housing? Do you have a child care desert? And if you have land, can it be developed? And would somebody put in the infrastructure? Because developers want to come in, but they really don't want it if it doesn't have the water and the sewage already there. So those are some things that I took away from declining enrollment. The teacher shortage, the big factor on teacher shortage, and I meant more on retention and recruitment. The big factors of retention and recruitment are the culture of your school and the relationships that each teacher has with their colleagues and specifically with their supervisor. So if they've got a good relationship with their principal, and if John and I are buddies and we're going, and we're teaching together, and then John jumps ship, I might jump ship. Yeah. So, that kind of happens. And obviously, there's the salary and the benefits. But that was in the 3. That was kind of second and third in a lot of the surveys they had done. So it was interesting. One thing I think we should really look at, I know that I'm not going to be able to do it, but review the application process. Sometimes, people are filling out applications and it's redundant on their resume. So it gets, it's like, why am I doing this? So I thought that was a good thing and an easy one, a low-hanging fruit there. And then we wrapped up, at least we wrapped up Friday with the conflict resolution, and what I took away was look at your conflicts as an opportunity, utilize open-ended questions, and ask some poignant open-ended questions such as, what are you hoping to learn or leave with from this conversation? So it was good. The 5 of us, plus, 6 of us, right? The 6 of us, we thank you for allowing us and approving the funding for our administrative retreat. We had 4 days in Lake Placid. Was it 4 days or 3? 3. 3 days in Lake Placid. And we were able to learn about some of the proposed changes to our student attendance and accountability. The proposed changes will now require a student to be enrolled 30 or more days. So, which is a great change. What happened was, you okay there, Tim?
Just fixing the sunlight.
Oh, you get blinded out?
I think it's this one, and I just am not calling on
I'll keep going. So, if a student comes into Fort Edward and they enroll, and 10 days later you never see them, or they don't show up day 1, they're ours, doesn't matter. Now what they're proposing, and I think it's catching steam, is they have to be enrolled for 30 more days. They're not enrolled for 30 or more days, they belong to whoever they came from.
That's good.
So it's a great change, I think it was good. You know, there was an emphasis on analyzing the iReady data. There was an emphasis on looking at system and structures, especially in your master schedule, to build in collaboration time and time for your teachers. And you're very fortunate to have a principal who is a master scheduler. So you've got checks and balances with your administrator and your lead counselor. It's a great thing to have, not many schools have that. Legal updates, updating the code of conduct. As you can see, we just did that. The Crown Act with the hairstyles, just dress code. Is it more restrictive for females? And the videoing of altercations on school grounds, is there a nexus or not? So we got refreshers on that. Student speech and employee speech. If there's issues with that, is there a substantial disruption? Is there material interference? Does it invade the right of others? And then Needham came in and gave us a safety discussion. And then at the end, and you'll hear them today, we reviewed our core mission and values, and we thank you guys for redoing that. And they have some SMART goals that they will tell you about today. Staff vacancies. We have an elementary position, 1 position, depending on how the TOSA plays out. We could have 2 elementary positions. We have the TOSA that's out there that we have to fill. Library media specialist interviews are this week. Athletics, we're still looking for a JV football coach, a JV baseball coach, a JV softball coach, and a JV girls basketball coach. We are looking for a district treasurer. I met with an interim candidate today, and we'll discuss that more in executive session. We are looking to fill an LPN position that you will hopefully approve tonight. And a TA, we will not be, because we haven't figured out the salary of that yet. So we still have to figure out that LPN. Or did we already approve that? I can't remember, help me.
The position is on for approval tonight.
Yeah. Okay, and the TA, and an anticipated TA position that I think Mallory's gonna discuss in her report, or is that possible or no? Okay.
It's just an aide, not a TA.
An aide, okay. All new meadow spaces are now occupied. Steve has a beautiful office. We provided him. ISS, Athletic Director, SPO, IT, and Business Office are all in the new meadow space by me. Obviously, we revamped this space for our new boardroom. And next door is the backpack room and other things. Sports physicals were held on August 7th. All starting dates and locations for fall sports will be posted on the website and social media. Sports signups are still available in the main office. So if any kids are interested out there or listening, please come to the main office and sign up for a fall sport.
There's an all-call going out about that tomorrow at 11.
Thank you very much. Shredding Day we will have here at the school on September 4th. Thank you, Mr. Rader, for organizing that. And I'd like to thank Elizabeth Hoffman, our community health coordinator in Glens Falls Hospital. She is putting in a large effort to revamp this trail back here. I can't find the trailhead, so if anybody knows where it is, we gotta find it. It's a trailhead that leads, I think it's in left field of the baseball field, and it's a switchback trail, which had rail ties in it.
Built that.
Yeah.
Okay,
This part back of the school, I'll show you exactly where it was.
Yeah.
The prisoner trail was built a while ago, and it was dirt paths, and they had ones over off the side of K Street that came down and were a little bigger.
yeah,
We brought community service crews down about 15 years ago, Mike Gray and I, from alternative sentencing, and we redid all of those with new railroad ties on that side, and then we built steps over here on this side. They're all buried.
okay. So we just need to know where the trailhead is, and we gotta take some pictures. She has a grant, and she's saying that that trail checks off a lot of boxes for a community health grant.
It's nice.
You know, it's trail, it's walking, it's to school, it's to courts, the phys ed kids can use it. So if we can find the trail and bushwhack and just get some pictures, and I can send them to her, the odds of us getting a grant, I'm not guaranteeing it, but the odds of us getting a grant to refurbish and redo that trail are pretty high.
It's never been done nice.
What's that?
It's never been done nice.
Yeah, so this is an opportunity, so I'm hoping within the next 3 weeks, Chris, maybe you and I can get together, you can show me, I'll bring some dirty clothes and
It's
I'll
right
just get
outside
back
the football field.
I tried to find, I was out there, I'm telling you.
Probably all grown up since the last time I saw it, but it's right there.
So I want to thank Pete Williams, he came with me, he was trying to find it. And Pamela Landers from the Washington County Planner, I think she came with Elizabeth on another day that I wasn't available,
Yeah,
and
probably
they
haven't
couldn't
been
find
done.
it.
They probably haven't been
So,
down that side in a long time.
It will not, it's not through lack of effort.
I'm gonna have to call Mike. Come with us.
And also, finally, the dugouts started construction today. So I want to, yes, yeah, I want to thank Access Anvil. I know there was a little delay in it, but they came through. There was an organization of their word, and they're out there putting that in, and we should have the construction up in 2 days. And Mr. Herman's working on the vinyl. Steve, I haven't told you this, the goal will be to get the vinyl up, take some pictures, I'll share them with you, get them down, and then you'll have to hang them up at the end of the spring at the start of the season, okay? All right. And the executive session items that we'll have, obviously Mrs. Rosetto's here to talk about the FIDA contract, our interim district treasurer, and that's my last report and my last official board meeting. So I know you can't say thank you enough, but I just really appreciate everything that you've given me and the opportunity here, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. It was one of the best career moves of my life.
Good.
And thank you.
What we have, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck, Rich.
Yes.
Thank you.
Business office report.
Yes, let's start with the handouts that I have passed out. This is our fiscal health report. Really great things to point out. After liquidating our funds from 23-24 with probably $600,000 from ESSER, we had additional funding of $1.637 million. So that added to our 20.16% fund balance of 22-23. We actually have a total fund balance as of 8/2/24 of $4,147,753.99. What we need to do is move money. So my office had already moved the $1.2 million to capital project. That's the H fund, so it's easy to access. We've already pushed the $100,000 to capital outlay, which was with our IT for this last year, which we've already started in July. $20,000 for tax certiorari, which I would like to remind those who need a refresher. Tax certiorari is a reserve that's needed. So if, say, a SMART or STAR payment was due, but they needed enhanced instead of basic, we have to kind of repay that cost. So it helps us with kind of just safeguarding our district with monies in a reserve. We also do budget that money as a kind of a payback. So anything over what we normally budget would go into the reserve, but we try to look at that every year, and we try to keep it around about $20,000. But we're adding that back to the pot because we had to have some extra payments last year. Transportation and maintenance reserve, we were adding $300,000 to that. that will help us reestablish buying more buses for our future. Instead of leasing, this will give us opportunities, especially navigating the electric vehicle mandate, as we've talked about in the past. So over in the still anticipating funds, this is monies that we are still expecting to hit our coffers. And we have about $476,000 from ESSER still and federal grants. We are still expecting that emergency boiler project money of $490,000. BOCES aid money of $478,000, general aid $493,000, excess cost aid of $267,000, and smart bonds of $82,000. So a total of $2,286,000 to be coming to our revenue streams. We need to trying to navigate with governor and making sure we have a good fund balance, but not over the 4%. We need to move 1.5 million. Yes.
Why is that, Steve? Or why is that, Chris?
Why do we have that much money?
Why do we have to do that with the governor? Because, well, first of all, I've been through this with, you're my third admin and everybody else. We did this one other time, and then it led to us with having a huge deficit last time.
Yep.
And then it led to double-digit tax increases about 20 years ago. What's the penalty of keeping your fund balance at over 4%? And what is the limits of moving any of the money that you're about to move back out of those funds they're going into? Those are my two questions.
And your valid points. The governor kind of tipped her hand this last year. Any school that's over 4%, she will start taking off your foundation aid.
I believe that when I see her.
She really,
half your schools.
She was trying really hard this last year. We actually stabilized the last couple weeks of the budget process.
What happens if you have huge costs with such a tiny, what 4% is to us?
Correct. And again, I think that's
what happens if you have huge funds.
It's a valid point for our school district. Obviously, we know. Where I'm trying to push it is EVLAR. It can be used as cash, and it basically becomes sort of a pseudo safety bank. So not only does it have a purpose of those retirees for like sick funds and things like that, the EVLAR accounts can actually again be used as cash.
For unexpected costs.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Perfect. That's my question.
Yep. So this allows us to play the game. The governor.
Well, my reason for asking is because we really didn't have those in the past, right? We had 4%. We gambled with those, but it wasn't a great idea because you couldn't. Once you put stuff in those other funds, you couldn't.
Absolutely. EVLAR is the best place to put it because it can be used as cash.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely. So we looked at that in the strategies, but that is why we're looking at that direction. So we're not going to get hit by a governor who keeps telling us this is the game she's wanting us to play, but it gives us a chance that we actually, if we do need to tap into the coffers, it will allow us to do that. We also are not moving that money, and I promise you this, until we get more money because we have cash on hand. So right now, we have a decent cash on hand that we can pay our bills. I do not want to shortchange our business office to keep that flow go. So when we get the anticipated funds, then we will reinvestigate that, but that's why we're going to push those monies when we have the ability to do that.
Great, thanks.
Absolutely. So my key points, this is my first time doing this part, which is kind of exciting. So thank you, Rich. So external audit has happened last week, so August 5th through 9th. I am happy to report we are 89% complete, which is, in my time, way better than we've ever done. We are doing a lot of great things in my office. I would like to thank Missy Durham for all her hard work of helping to do the book closing, to help with the audit process. And we also are waiting on a couple things that is new to Fort Edward. We did approve Questar 3 to kind of do a asset management service for us before we went through industrial appraisal. So that was kind of just, here's your assets, but this allows you to do the management aspect. So that is actually better. The audits love it. The problem right now is I handed in their information. We're going to get that report in the next couple of weeks. So that's one of the items that kind of is in the process and waiting, but that will be submitted to them. And we are expecting to complete the audit before the 10/15 deadline. So that's exciting news. Tax process and documentation has been happening. I'm working with the town assessor and Washington County Real Property. STAR reimbursement applications, they're due on September 6th. I'm mostly there, but what happens is I have to wait until the county is ready to do their end, pick up these things that call the STAR sheets, then I can submit that application to the state. Then the tax rate right now, it's final for 1,000 assessed value. It is 18.613460. Which in short layman's terms, for a $100,000 home, your tax would be $18,613. I've created, with help from my office and other looking at our reimbursement and requisition procedures, we saw that there was a need there to make sure kind of a tighter process. So people, staff, everybody included. My office isn't frustrated because it's not a process and the people are going, well, now I actually know what we're supposed to do. So we put those out and that's now posted into the shared files. So when staff comes on this year, we'll be talking about that process as well. I got to meet with our new Fort Edward Director of Food Service from NARIC. His name is Jeff Bartone. He is exceptional. He has a vision for Fort Edward that is going to take us into some really good, great places. He has $60,000 of the Healthy Meals grant still, and he's got some good plans for it. We are also bought a salad bar that they're going to be adding this year. So that's also very exciting. But one of the things that we've talked about is not only having free breakfast and free lunch for every student. So please, we got to pass that word. Every student here at Fort Edward gets a free breakfast and a free lunch. But we also are looking at ways to expand that to time off during summer or vacation, and even possibly start feeding even families that are in need. So it's really a kind of great thing. So I'd like to give a shout out to them because their vision is for the whole student. How do you educate kids who are not knowing where their next meal is? This is a way that we can kind of focus on the basic needs and get the kids to be able to come to school really willing to learn and be happy and healthy, and that's a good step in that process. Another great point I'd like to point out is these people came to me, but New York Life Insurance is interested in actually offering us life insurance here at Fort Edward for all full-time employees, no cost to the district, and it is fully employee funded. This is for whole life, and it will stay with you even if you change your job or you retire, as long as you pay your premiums or whatnot. This also is extended to your family, so it's spouse, children, grandchildren. There is a $200,000 cap for the employee and $50,000 for any of the extended families. It is also guaranteed, which means there is no medical exams, there is no, you have to have a blood test, none of that. So this is a great offering. I'll be filing the paperwork with them to kind of start offering this to our staff. But again, no cost to the district. It sounds like a win-win for our people. I will provide this to our staff. It's an educational brochure on the plan. The New York Life will also be talking to each individual who's interested as a private meeting so they can actually get all the basics. But listening to them, I've had like 3 meetings already. It sounds very promising, but it's something I think we definitely need to offer our employees. Life insurance is wonderful, especially with health issues going on, but this is a way that you don't have to, because my sister just went through this. She had about health-wise, she's considered uninsurable. This allows you to be insured and to have these benefits that are offered to you. So I think that's a great opportunity. So my points that I was wonderfully blessed with our Lake Placid trip. First of all, living in the business office, sometimes you kind of get disconnected, but I feel we share the same goals. We learn so much more about each other, and I think that makes us a stronger team. But my goals for my office, for the business office here at Fort Edward, is to start moving from file systems, which are archaic, to online like shared folders. This will be not only easier access for us, but it will help in the audit process, so we will have all this downloaded. We will start with the extra classroom funds and grants, because I think that's kind of easier and like we can kind of learn from that process, and we're going to try to start implementing that and complete it by October 24th. Another one is have better clarification of job duties and defined of roles. We're going to start with the accounts payable side, so we can kind of, again, start chunking it as not one person does everything, or, you know, we kind of have a better understanding of that, trying to not step on each other's toes, but we're also going to implement that in October as well. And I did start this, but it kind of got derailed from some of the craziness of my office, but have Monday meetings where we have a set agenda, where we are on the same page, especially now that we're gonna have private office spaces, so we're not like tripping over each other and having kind of a fishbowl office. This allows us to have a better communication system, have weekly goals, and we're gonna try to, again, focus with our priorities so we can keep moving the mountain forward. But I'm very excited for what we learned at Lake Placid, but most of it is truly setting up meetings with my team so we also can communicate this better, because not only do I want to support them fiscally, it's hard to do that sometimes when I don't always know what their plans are, what the state requirements are. This allows us to actually tap into each other and realize that fiscal does support all of the entities, but I gotta know what those things are to make that happen. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Stephen, you're on.
Here we go. Steve, you're up, building maintenance. Oh, I'm sorry. You're not. Sorry.
Hey, ladies before gentlemen.
Sorry. Mrs. Russo, please.
Right. So we had, in addition to Summer Academy that Mrs. Bump posted or spoke about, we've also had credit recovery happening here in the high school for grades 9 through 12. So this summer we had 15 students taking 23 classes in order to stay on track for graduation. Without that, they would be repeating the entire class and would be off track for graduation. So 15 students now staying on track for graduation. Almost every one of those students is passing their classes. And now students are reviewing for Regents exams, which happen next Monday and Tuesday. So we have some students who didn't need to repeat the class, but need to repeat the Regents exam, and they're coming in right now to do review so that when they sit down and take that Monday or Tuesday, they're better prepared. So it's pretty exciting. The kids are actually coming and they're happy to come, and they were right from the beginning. We get a printout of where they are. So it'll say, you know, Aaron Russo is supposed to be 15% completed by this date, and every single student has been ahead of where they were supposed to be all summer long. Right from the first week, they were all ahead of where they needed to be. Yeah, so they were a very motivated group this summer, so that's great. I got to go to Savannah, Georgia with Marianne Stark and Jess Smacco. We were invited to speak at the National Positivity Project Conference. The CEO of Positivity Project was there. He's the one who asked us to come speak. We had lots of positive feedback, lots of people wanting, you know, our slide deck, lots of people taking pictures of the artifacts we brought. We brought the t-shirts that kids designed. We showed a video of Mrs. Maury's class. They wrote a song about Positivity Project, so we played that video. We brought a book that our other second grade teacher had published of poems that her students wrote about positivity. So that was pretty great. And people were coming up to us and asking, you must be a really big school if you're doing all this stuff. And we were like, we are so not a big school, but we are doing all this. And really, they were very impressed by the fact that our topic was really how to make this happen when you decide to do it a week before school starts. And that's what we did, and we did it with fidelity. So yeah, the CEO, again, of Positivity Project wanted us to speak, and I think we did a really good job. So that was great. Welcome letters with teacher assignments and schedules will be sent out later this week. Or the schedules for 6 through 12 will go up next week. We're still loading study halls in. And then as a result of our leadership retreat, we each set goals for ourselves. So mine focus on personnel management, making sure that I am staying on top of teachers and TAs for time and attendance, and addressing people if they miss after school meetings. Increased visibility via classroom walkthroughs, and my goal is to do a minimum of 3 classroom walkthroughs a week. Just to see what's happening in the classrooms and to have a better, better beat on what's going on curriculum-wise. And then also partnering with parents. So my plan is to have a parent meeting once a quarter with a topic, so parents can come in and we can discuss a topic. And also next week I'm sending out a survey about open house to see what parents want at open house. You know, the whole event is aimed at parents and engaging them here at school, so I want to find out what they want, what kind of format, what things are important to them, and then make sure we do that.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Ms. Lansley?
All right. So, Dr. Dumali brought it up earlier. We are almost fully staffed in our special education department. So we did hire the new teacher for our 3 to 5 classroom. We have a TA that is on one of the consent items later in the meeting. We are in need of one aide, and this aide is a shared aide that will be for 2 students to share together. One of the students will be an out-of-district student that's coming to us, so we would split the cost most likely with them, the other district. And, you know, this student was in our classroom, the K-2 classroom, so moving up, we had to split, so we just have that need for another additional aide. Yes.
Did you say it's another district student?
Yes.
Why would we split the cost of that? Is it a part of like contract or something else?
Yes.
So an overall contract that brings in more,
yes,
that covers a larger group of kids?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And speaking to, you know, our out-of-district students, we currently had this previous year, we had 4 students that were out of district, and we had 1 end up moving, so we finished the year with 3 students that were out of district. At this time, I'm anticipating 5 additional students, so it would be 8 students out of district that are going to be coming here that would, you know, we would contract with those districts, and they would pay, you know, the cost of the tuition and then cost of related services as well. So I'm, you know, anticipating 3 in our 3 through 5 and 1 additional one in our K-2, and then an additional student in the 6 to 8 program. So we have a total of 8 out of district students. You know, looking at the contracts, we are projecting tuition at $37,695, and that doesn't include the related services that we would bill for as well. Let's see what else. This was the last week of our extended school year programming. We had over 10 students participate in either an ESY program or other related services, and I just wanted to extend a big thank you to our transportation department for getting those students, you know, to their programs each day safely. Some days we were all over the place, but you know, it's much appreciated. Let's see. Last week we had, last Monday through Thursday, we had 9 staff members come in and get trained in TCIS, which is Therapeutic Crisis Intervention for Schools model through Cornell. And the training really focuses on de-escalating students in crisis, as well as, you know, best practices for approaching students that have experienced trauma. So thank you to Shauna Brown, who led this training. You know, we have a plan to have more of our staff members become trained in this model throughout the school year. So
is it a goal to have everybody trained?
I would love to have most of the staff trained.
Is that a voluntary thing, or is it a?
It's a voluntary, yep, there are different pieces of it. So with the training, there is de-escalation training, which every staff member that we had did do that during our conference day, but it's just a very small part of it. There is, you know, restraint training, you know, for students that can become physically violent. But, you know, it's dependent on, on how far people want to go with it, their comfortability level.
How many staff do we have that are restraint trained?
We have 9.
I was just gonna ask.
We have 9 now.
Okay.
Yes.
Their comfortability with getting trained, or their comfortability with restraining?
Restraining. So, you know,
you want to get everybody trained.
Yes. Yeah.
But you're not going to give them the option of being comfortable with that, right? I think I misheard that. Like,
No,
I'm just gonna
it-
go ahead and get everybody trained.
So when
whether
you
they're gonna
get
do anything
trained,
next.
there are different
Because
levels
anything could happen
of,
at
Right.
any minute. You never-
there are different levels of the certification that you can do. So if you just want to get trained in the de-escalation, you're not comfortable with getting trained in the physical restraint process, then you would have that decision.
What does a staff member do where a student comes after them? Like, even an elementary kid? Like,
Well,
you gotta stop, well, I'm just saying, what if you even gotta like grab them and like, oh, I know everybody's worried about liability. Wouldn't it make sense for everyone to be trained in doing that? It doesn't mean you ever have to do it,
Right.
or you have to be
Yeah.
somebody that's a designated person to do
Right,
it.
and I would say, we had some staff members that attended that, they are trained to do it, but, if
Probably
they don't
never
feel
will want to.
comfortable. Right.
Right, but maybe it would open up the doors to you too, also maybe to have people in different sections of the building to be designated people to help or whatever.
And that's
You'd
our
have
goal.
more options.
Yeah, that's our goal. So, at this point in time, we do have everybody on each floor of our building are trained.
Yeah.
So we have at least, a couple designated people. And, we're planning to also, print out, you can put on the door, the motto or of it so that people know which staff members are trained.
Okay.
So, it could be a quick call, if you, in the event you're not trained. So like I said, we are planning to continue opening the training up for more staff members this year.
Good. I think it's important.
Yeah.
De-escalation especially, is right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everybody.
But just to clarify, just so you mean it's voluntary to give up your summertime, but we pay them to come in and get trained.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, is that,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, all right. No, I mean, my wife has to do it every year, so.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The whole
It's a big push. A lot of schools are using, there's different models, but TCIS is one of the most popular ones.
Yeah, she just spent a week with her leg up with isolation, so,
Mhm.
yeah, it happens every day where she
Yeah.
is.
And just reflecting on the goals that I kind of came up for myself. And I really enjoyed, working with our team, and I think it just reaffirmed that, we do need to work together as a unit to tackle our goals. Especially my goals, they are focused in different areas. So, partnering with Aaron, partnering with Chris and Steve and Sandy will make, my goals more reachable. So the first one I'd like to focus on is our classification rate. And, I'm looking at this from the lens of supporting students. So, I'm hoping to decrease our classification rate by 4%, and that could be a little lofty. And we sometimes have students move in, we have students move out, and, we are a small school, so sometimes those numbers can be, weighted differently. But, looking at providing services, we're really hoping to focus on specialized reading for students that have learning disabilities in reading. So just finding ways to, provide them with more support. I'd like to decrease our IST referral rate, and I'm hoping to do this through, looking at our RTI model. We had teachers working on the RTI model before the end of the year and coming up with some revisions. We're planning to have days where we can run through student data and see which students would benefit from AIS. And we're also looking to add to our Tier 1 and Tier 2 supports. And then the final goal I have is to decrease suspension rate of students with disabilities. So, working closely with Aaron and Jess, implementing that P2 curriculum. We do have sections of our class in our schedule where we are focusing on Tier 2 and Tier 3 behavior supports that we're going to be doing with Ms. LeBaron, our guidance counselor, partnering with the school psychologist, our social worker, our crisis interventionist. Having staff trained in TCIS helps with de-escalation, and then ultimately creating additional consequences such as the Saturday school. So, we have different things to pull from than just suspension. And that's all.
Thank you very much. You're up, Steve.
Okay. Yeah, we've been pretty busy, my staff. As you can see, this room was painted by the staff. They've been doing really well. I'm really happy, and I'm really ecstatic that the board has given me finally a full staff of help, and the guys are working together real good. They're all getting along good, and things are getting done, and I'm able to shift things around. And because before, if you wanted your room painted, it was up to the teachers. There was just no way. We were always shorthanded, we were scrambling. So it's good that I can focus and get some things fixed and repaired and painted. And right now I'm trying to work with the guys to bring the standard of cleaning and how I want things kept, and the floors, everything, the classrooms, try to get everything. I keep telling them I want to bring the standards up in the school. I want our bosses, which is our taxpayers, is what I explained to them. Taxpayers coming in and saying, wow, this school has never looked that good. That's what I want to get. And so that's the way I'm going with the guys to try to get that through. I'm working on the DLL room. I'm still working on that. Stark Tech was in today to try to look at some other things. We've made some improvements to the unit, bringing outside of it air in and different things. So we're working on that. The library, as hot as that was, they're up there. We're working on that. They're coming tomorrow to start to try to trace the leak out. It's a pretty long chase. So they got to find where this leak is coming from out of them units. They're fairly new units, and I told them wasn't very happy that they're 2 years old and we've got issues with them. And so I'm like, wait a minute, come on. There's workmanship going on here, and there's units. So I'm on them. I told them, I said, I'm not happy with the thing, and so I'm working with them. They're in tomorrow. I'm working on some floor machines and things. Of course, they always want to sell you something. They want to sell you a brand new one and be a lot better, but I bought the parts for a quarter of what it did, and I've got them all back together. They work fantastic, and they're buzz right along.
The old floor cleaning machine?
Huh?
The old floor cleaning machine?
Yeah, the different scrubbers.
How old is that machine, Steve?
I think it was purchased back in, I'm trying to think. I was still here back in 2016, and that was here when I came. So.
Yes, I know.
Same one.
Was that
Kind
of odd
Is it
when
a
you
Nobles
first got
or
here?
tenant?
Huh?
Is it a Nobles or tenant?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
20-something years.
So they're trying to talk me into that, but for like $800, I bought all the parts and rebuilt it, and the bearings and everything's fine with it. So I was happy that I could do that instead of trying to fork out all this money. It works fine. It's fine. I'm trying to get on working what I learned from up there, kind of roping that into what my report is. I'm trying to set up a schedule on my work so that I can kind of keep track of what's being done when. You know, you change the oil on your car, you don't know how long it's been. You don't realize time flies by. Well, I want to try to get my rooftop units and have things documented so I can tell when things have been greased, when filters have been changed, and how long it's been. So I'm working on that. I changed out in the next room over. We changed out a coil that had probably the univent wasn't working properly, so it had froze and broke, and so we had a major leak. So we've gotten that repaired, and that's being. And then I had Stark Tech come in and make sure all the controls were functioning properly, because there was a reason why that probably happened. So I wanted to make sure that was set. So we've got that all changed. We had a fire inspection. Did pretty good. We had a few minor things. I'm working on that right now, getting the proper inspectors in for different things. So that's being done. But going back to Lake Placid, I really didn't want to go. Rich knows that. Rich is like, come on, you gotta go. You're gonna get a lot out of it. I'm not, you know, but I did get a lot out of it. I will admit, I did get a lot of interesting things. I found out that how we interchange with each other between what Aaron's got going on and Chris and everybody. Chris is, you know, we all have to kind of figure things out. They ask of me to do things, and then that creates me to ask Chris to give me some money. I gotta do
yeah,
that.
we know.
Come on, Dad, choke up a little bit, you know, that type of thing.
We know.
So we have to kind of work together more, and I did get that out of it. And with the core thing is where I stand with that is I know I don't have direct contact, or anything I do is directly affect the kids in the school, but the cleanliness and keeping kids healthy and keeping them in the school and keeping their desks cleaned and sanitized and a nice work environment. Lighting is good. They're not in darkness over there trying to do stuff. They come in and bam, it's bright in the room. I wake them up first thing in the morning. Them are all the things that I'm putting across to my guys, that when they come in, they are as important as the teachers are in the school to do their part to educate our children. So that's the kind of thing I took from
Absolutely.
going up there. That's all I got, unless you got something.
No.
And
Spend any money?
Huh?
That's good.
just to interject quickly.
That's nothing.
Just to interject quickly, it's just wonderful that Steve was able to join us, and Mallory able to recruit some outside into us. Quick math, that's over $300,000 that she's going to be bringing into the school through those services. And Sandy is technically a Washington, Saratoga, Hamilton County BOCES employee, but he's one of us. He's here 5 days a week, and he's really a huge part of what we do. And I made him do 3 goals too, so just share your goals if you don't.
All right, we were asked to come up with a couple of goals related to the core values that you came up with. So I looked at a couple of them. The first one that caught me was that safe and positive environment that we want to build for our students and staff, and IT's role in that. We've got a big role in that, so I want to work with our incoming librarian on a digital literacy curriculum for our students to look at how we're teaching them to use their technology responsibly and safely in a good way. I'm not the kind of person that believes in let's block everything, because as soon as they walk out that door, everything's unblocked. So we really have to teach them here how to do things in a responsible, ethical way, and I'd like to work with our librarian and our teachers to develop a curriculum to do that with them. One of the other things that was in your core values was that be fiscally responsible and transparent with our community. I really want to work with Chris to explore all possible ways to keep our technology up to date and safe and secure. It's just as important to keep it up to date because security issues happen when things are out of date, and it doesn't work as well, and our kids and teachers don't get engaged with their technology if it's all out of date stuff and they have better stuff at home. They don't even want to use the school technology. We've done a great job of that so far. I'll give you a very quick IT update. Our Chromebooks that we give our kids are great. Our smart boards that are in our classrooms, this is the oldest one in the school. This room was not used as a classroom. This is not our standard classroom setup. We have newer LCD panels in almost all of our classrooms. We ordered one new one today for a room that's getting converted to a classroom. And again, I work closely with Chris to make sure we have the funds to do that properly. We're also replacing a lot of the switches that are behind all of where our wireless networking gets connected back to our network and the internet, but that's being done through E-rate funds, which are right now 86%, but I think 90% next year, because we're adjusting some of our free and reduced numbers. So that'll be aided at 90% next year. Again, that goal work closely with Chris to make sure those things are funded as effectively as possible and don't impact the district as much. One of the other things, we've had a lot of power outages lately. They're very scary for us IT people, because when you yank the plug on a computer that's running, and there's data being written and to your drives, it can cause failures. It can cause big failures. We usually have backup power systems in our schools to help that. Our backup power systems were installed in 2016, and the batteries have never been replaced. So we need new ones. Through our capital outlay, because we've got a great capital project approved, those are being replaced tomorrow. So we're getting I'm really happy about that, because we've had a lot of power issues lately, and they keep me up at night. And in terms of security and safety, our servers that power all of our cameras were just replaced, and the cameras themselves, again, through state, we get $35,000 allotment from the state that doesn't cost the district anything. So we're going to be replacing those cameras through that fund. It'll take us 2 years to replace all the ones that need to be replaced, but again, it'll come at no cost to us. So I'm going to work really closely with Chris to try and figure that out. I do want to say thanks to Dr. Demali for including me in that leadership team in your district. Not every district does that. I'm contracted for CTA, Chief Technology Officer time in 5 schools. I serve on this kind of group in 3 of those 5, so not all of them. But Dr. Demali and the rest of the team here have really become family. My office is located here. Dr. Demali said I'm here 5 days a week. Sometimes it's 4. I do have to get out to some of the other districts every now and again. But I love spending my time here, and it really has become a home. And this team, the trip to Lake Placid just helped solidify that and make sure that we're all on the same page with the core values that you develop as a board. We're very clear on how we want to make those things happen now as a team. So thanks, Dr. D. And I want to thank Glens Falls, too, for helping put that together. They did a nice job of putting together a system there for that to happen, of course.
Yes, Glens Falls, absolutely, because that allows us to use the COSER, where we get aid back on the money that we spent out there. So that's fantastic.
All right, discussion items.
I haven't had
any.
Yeah.
Nothing? Approval of previous board minutes. Can I have a motion to approve those board minutes? Chris? Second? Andra, all in favor? Aye. And then approve the CSE, CTSE recommendations. Has everybody had a chance to look at those? Awesome. Motion to approve.
Sure.
All in favor? Aye.
Second was from Chris.
Thank you.
Chris, action items. Does everybody get a chance to look at all of these? Anybody have any problems if we group these together?
Hold on 1 second.
Or some of them anyway?
Let me stick with the
Can we get air conditioning? Can we get air conditioning in here? Chris?
Danielle, it would be nice.
We've been talking
just wanna
about
say-
it,
I
and
just
those
have
we
one
have.
Yes.
We're trying to-
and
Like one of those window units?
They said there's a way that you can go from the library and possibly cool this one down.
Well, we need another head out there. So I'll go and I'll ask a favor from there, you know?
For $19.99.
Which item? Which item, Chris?
It would be, which one was it? Yeah, home. Elementary,
Code of conduct?
code of conduct.
Okay.
I know I saw it in high school, and because I believe in all stuff that I've ever seen in my entire life show that expectation and consequences form between, you know, pre-K and the 7th grade. So I'd like to see some sort of a consistent rubric in the elementary as well. Not to say that you can't deviate from that. Just something that the kids were building some sort of consistency and expectation and consequence.
Okay.
You know,
So build
Just
a-
as we have our
an elementary
expectation in
rubric.
success, what do you get from success? From meeting our expectations, and what do you get, what are the consequences of not meeting it? Just so that we're building up some sort of reason for rules.
So why
You
don't
know,
we
there have to
do-
be consequences.
Yeah.
I'd just like them to see them, I will vote for it today.
Well, we
Just like
can
to see that.
table that.
No, I don't think that needs to be done. I'd
We
just
need
like to
that
maybe
for-
just
add that.
work on an addendum, something that we can have going forward so that we can show that to the parents and say, this is our general rules for if you do this. And it's the same for every student. It doesn't matter what your name is. You know, just a lot of stuff that simplifies a lot of things. And for kids, I think that steady guidance of, they're not do that because this is what's gonna happen is necessary, you know?
I agree. I think that consistency is good. They know, hey, if I do this, this is what's gonna happen.
Good.
So what I can do, is it okay if I convene the elementary discipline committee when school starts, and then we can work on
Work it out and, yeah, just bring it back to us or whatever you want to do.
Perfect. thank you.
So I'd like a motion to approve A through M.
N as in Nancy,
No, M is in
M as
Mike.
in Mary, perfect.
So moved.
Tim and Andra, all in favor? Aye. And then N is add LPN to staff. I know that we've talked about this before, and that's why I kind of left it extra. I get a motion to approve that. Andra, Chris, all in favor? And then, excuse me, move into personnel. All appointments are subject to change, compensation, proration. Pending emergency school closing, required reductions in force. All coaching appointments are made pending completion and verification of all required coaching credentials. The stipend per the FETA contract commensurate with experience and no other salary or benefits. All coaching extracurricular appointments are subject to reduction in compensation proration pending final student enrollment numbers, pending the outcome of any potential mergers and emergency school closings. A through A through X. The motion to approve A through X, or do you have something? No, okay. Tim? Sarah? All in favor? Any discussion?
I don't know. I don't know if I've heard on there, so.
I have it right here coming through.
Ready? Purchasing agent, deputy purchasing agent.
That's good, John.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. And then we have the two resignations. We both know about those, correct? Need a motion to approve Y and Z.
I'm so sorry to see Mary Monahan go. She's amazing.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you so much.
Certainly. Yep. Motion? Sarah?
Second.
Tim? All in favor? Aye, and thank you very much. Coaching.
She was
All appointments subject to
amazing.
what I just read. Boys varsity basketball. Do you want to talk about this?
I can just for a couple sentences. I interviewed Coach Harrington the other day. 25 plus years of experience, boys and girls basketball. Thoroughly impressed by his attitude and towards coaching, his experiences. I think he's going to be a great asset to the Fort Edward athletic program. He is how I did ask him, and I'm sure he's not afraid that I could share this, but you know, he's going to be a 3-year guy for us. And so my recommendation as I leave to Aaron and the board is any hires, you probably want to look at a boys basketball coach. So that would be something where he can, I believe, or he or she could learn from Coach Harrington. I am confident in saying this, he has what it takes to build a great program. And I think he would get us started very well.
I will add to that. You have a hungry, dedicated, and knowledgeable kid who is young and wanted to step into a JV role, didn't want to come right in and say, hey, I want to come into this varsity spot that didn't have a coach. It's a kid that wants to be here, and he's put a lot of hours in for you too. So in the next couple of years, you know, if Jason can live for a couple of years, the 9th grade class here is pretty special. And they're gonna be working with the younger guy here all along too. So, yeah.
We got a good building.
Got some good stuff right now. You got pretty good staff from modified right up to varsity here.
Yep.
Agreed. Agreed.
Motion? Sarah? Audra, all in favor? Aye. All right, and is there anything, public comment at all popping up? No? Okay, so we are gonna motion to, what's it called?
Enter into.
Enter executive session. Motion. Somebody? Chris? Audra? All in favor? Aye. And there will be, I believe, no new business when we come back, so.
Okay. So be it, Steve.
Logic.